Hello, everybody. Happy Family Day. Today is Monday, February 16th. If you've been following along with the channel for the last couple of episodes, I've kind of been referencing the sensationalism, the clickbait that kind of exists in mainstream and social media when it pertains to the real estate market. And I kind of had an idea of what I wanted to talk about today. And as you know, I've been honest with the fact that I sometimes struggle to come up with a topic that is worth sharing with you, even every second week. I kind of had an idea of what I wanted to talk about this morning, but as I often do, I grabbed a coffee, I flipped on the TV, I went to YouTube, and lo and behold, one of the most popular local content creators had a new episode up today, and they generally produce an episode every second day or so. And the messaging in this episode was, hey, people, it's a buyer's market. Now is the time to lowball the crap out of anybody's house or condo that you're thinking about purchasing.
How's that working for you?
And I thought, well, that's a pretty generic message that goes along with an oversupplied buyer's market, but is it actually helpful information? They went on to say that it's a good idea, even if the property is priced for multiple offer, to go in below the list price. And I thought to myself, no, I don't see any sense in that. Look, people, there is a lot of information out there available to you as a buyer and a seller, either through your agent or through websites like House Sigma or what have you. The information is there to get a determination of the range of value. I think you're going to waste a lot of time if you're lowballing on a multiple offer situation. It's very unlikely that the property's been priced at market. It's under. But you can do what you want. And what I found from experience is that those buyers who try those lowball offers and are quite often, if not all the time, unsuccessful, eventually they'll bend when they get to the next house, and sometimes they will overpay for that property just because they're exhausted from the process.
Yeah, I get that.
So if you're doing your homework and you've got a good representative who's giving you market information, that really shouldn't take place. But to my point, I think the messaging is that in a market that has a lot of inventory, which we have right now, that is clearly in the favor of the buyer, you are in control. You are absolutely in control. However, it's not very likely, even in this environment, that you are going to steal a deal. Conversely, when the market is undersupplied and it's a seller's market, it's quite likely you will overpay and you need to know when to walk away.
You think?
Which wasn't happening a lot over the past couple years, as we know. Over 2 years ago, I did an episode speaking to a property that came up on the market on sort of the border of Etobicoke and Toronto. They got 85 offers. It was listed at $799. It sold just under $1 million. And that was really the point where I realized there was starting to be a bit of reality creeping into the market. On the surface, it sounded like a hot deal. Somebody overpaid for it. But the truth is it sold just under $1 million because the buyer who bought it was a low down payment insured buyer. They needed to get insured mortgage, and the cap for insured mortgages at the time was just under $1 million, which meant that anybody who had 20% down and could afford to pay more just wasn't interested in that property. They saw the market was shifting. And as we all know, the previous liberal government increased that limit from $1 million to $1.5 million in the last year or so. How ridiculous was that?
Please don't do that.
Do that at a time when the market's shifting away from the seller's market to the buyer's market. I don't think there's a lot of first-time buyers who've been taking advantage of that ceiling of $1.5 million to buy their first property with about 10% down. Anyhow, I digress. Listen, it's very difficult, even in this environment, to steal something away from someone. In this particular instance, what I want to reference is a property that came for sale in my neighborhood. It was a detached, side split, 3-bedroom, original condition, probably lived in by the same family for more than 30 years, so it needed work. It was a fixer-upper, was going to require some sweat equity.
Oh, no. Oh, no. No.
Listed at $599. They got 37 offers, and they sold it for $767,000. Did somebody steal that deal? I don't think you can with 37 offers. I think that was the market. That's where everything equalized. They might have seen offers that were higher that were conditional they didn't want to take a chance on, but that was probably the market value. And further to my point, that property, had it been on the market over 2 years ago, likely would have sold for close to $1 million, or probably even more than $1 million. So yes, the market has receded. Property values have come down. But again, the lesson here You need to know when to walk away in a seller's market, and it's still very difficult to steal a deal, even in a buyer's market. Anyhow, let's get a look at that inventory story. So the inventory numbers are showing that, yes, there's some gradual increases across the board for inventory, as we much anticipated was going to happen. It's happening in the rental segment as well, as I've been referencing. And incidentally, that the rental market now currently has about 53% of the available product below $2,500 a month. And another number that I've been tracking for a few months now, probably 7, that I wasn't really sharing, over 75% of the available rentals in the 416 are currently available under $3,000. So do what you want with that information. I think if you're a prospective tenant, things are in your favor and rents are going to come down, and there's downward pressure on those rents. The sold conditional numbers are kind of revealing something to me. I'm now seeing that the conditional sales percentages for condominiums is actually rising above that level for freeholds. So that is telling me that, you know what? There's probably some buyers out there for condos who are seeing opportunities. And again, I'm not saying that they might not fall further, right? It could very well be that the average, medium, and benchmark price continues to dip through the year. But that doesn't mean that the condo that you buy today is susceptible to that erosion. Depending on where you're buying, what you're buying, who's representing you, how your offer is structured, there's shades of gray on how wise or unwise your purchase price is going to be. So pay attention to the numbers, get your information, do your homework, and don't fall victim to the sensational crap that you see on social and mainstream media. Anyhow, that does it for this episode. Until the next one, this is Mike Brown with RE/MAX, uncovering the real estate of real estate here in the GTA and Southwestern Ontario.